Hey guys, welcome to the Scholar Online YouTube channel, the channel that is all about learning. Okay, so I am back again today and I've got an exciting new course that I'm going to be taking you through. But before I do that, let's just get through the admin of everything. All right, so if you're new to the channel, remember to smash that like button. Okay, just hit that like button. It's at the bottom of the video that you're watching. It really helps our channel to make our videos visible to more and more people. All right, and if you go to the bottom of the video and you look at this show more button, just open it up. It will open up the description of the video, and there's going to be a lot of information and useful things for you there, especially if you hear me say I'm going to link it in the description below. That's where I'm going to put the link and you can find it there. You can also find in the description timestamps to, parts of the videos, because if the video gets too long, then I will create timestamps so that you can skip through to certain parts of the video. Again, you don't have to watch the entire video, just, watch the parts that are useful to you. All right. And I've got my contact information in there as well, our social media links. All right. And a lot of stuff that's going to be very, very useful for you. Okay. Now, we have completed, I think 2 weeks back, we had an entire series on AI content generators, specifically, how to build like a blog writing tool. And we took you through how to actually build it from scratch, where we got a virtual server and we got, Django started in there. And then we showed you how to build the forms, how to do the authentication. We took you through a whole lot, okay? Because we wanted you to to be able to have a complete project. If you go through these videos from video 1 to video 10, you should be able to build your own. Even if it doesn't look exactly like what we built, it's enough content for you to get you started, to build upon it and make something useful with it. We're going to continue this week with something different, right? So I've been thinking about what exactly I want to do next, and it's a project that I've been sort of thinking about for a while, and it's a project I'm actually going to launch. All right, so it's going to be a real website, and I'm going to launch it because I think there's a market for it. And now that we've got our AI content generators, it's going to completely simplify the entire workflow of what I'm trying to do. So what am I trying to do? I am trying to build a landing page builder. Right, and there's a lot of landing page builders out there. Like right now, you can, if you go and you Google landing page builder, you're gonna come across a lot of, like, I don't know, Unbounce is probably one of the most popular ones. You come here, you can build a landing page. There's also writing with AI. I haven't actually worked a lot with this, but I know it involves a whole lot of, drag and drop page builders, and that's not what I want to do. I don't want to build a drag and drop page builder. I want to build a landing page builder that is definitely going to be integrated with AI, and I want someone to just go there and say, I want to build a landing page for, I'm a doctor, this is my location, and this is my address, enter, right? And it just takes that and it generates an entire landing page for a doctor, right? Somebody comes in there and says, I'm a lawyer. Our services are, we help people with divorce law. We help people with, I don't know, crafting their wills and so forth. You just tell us a little bit of what you do in your business, and it's conversational. I want it to be conversational, like, to ask the person questions. What do you do in your business? We do this. Oh, cool. And what else do you do? Oh, we do that. And then it goes back and thinks through the whole process and generates a full landing page with a little information. It's not going to be a drag and drop. It's not going to be a you're not going to go through searching for pictures and images and anything like that. It's going to be as simple as possible for the average person to just enter what their business does, 3 or 4 lines, and it's going to generate a complete landing page that they can just download. If they want, they can just click, oh, download the HTML, right? Or they can say, oh no, host it for me, and then there's another button and then I host the page for them or whatever. All right, so that's what we're going to build. It's going to be an exciting project. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. I'm going to take you through each and every single step Okay, I'm going to show everything on camera. I'm not going to make the code available because I'm going to run this website myself. But if you follow along, you will see everything that I'm doing. And we're going to charge people for it as well. Of course, we're going to integrate payment integration in there. As soon as a person, if they like the landing page, they can just sort of like, pay for it, or they can, like host it or whatever, and it's done. Okay, so that's what this project that we're doing is going to be about. If you think this is exciting and this is something that you want to learn, let's get started. Let's get started, and let me show you exactly how I would start building something like this. Of course, I'm going to build this on Django. All right, Django is just one of those platforms that I'm completely comfortable with. You could use anything, any sort of like web framework that you like working with, but I like working with Django because I'm completely comfortable with that. And we are also going to be using OpenAI to generate the AI content. All right, so we're going to combine OpenAI AI generator where we left off. Right, we're going to combine it with a template like these, right, which because OpenAI is not very good with, I've tried their codecs, and I've gone through some of their codecs. I've got videos on codecs and generating code out of codecs. You can have a look at my channel, have a look at some of my previous videos. You will find videos on codecs there, but I don't feel like it's got enough flexibility to build something like this, for example, right? So we're going to supplement that with actual templates, which we are going to get from, if you want to build along like I'm building, you can go to Envato Elements, and I'll show you which templates I'm using from Envato Elements. And with Envato Elements, what I like, and I always tell guys about it on my channel, is just you pay once off. It's something like $14 a month, honestly, and then you can download as many templates as you like for free for as long as you're paying for it. And if you stop paying for it, the templates that you've downloaded are yours. You don't have to take them back. You just can't reuse them for a new project. Okay, so this is probably the most cost-effective way to be a programmer today, is Envato Elements, as opposed to the alternative is something like Envato Market, where you pay per template. And you'll be surprised, 80% of the templates on Envato Market are on Envato Elements. So if you're going to buy from Envato Market, you might as well buy from Envato Elements. And then it's got more. It's got templates, it's got graphic templates, graphics, presentation, fonts, like everything. If you're like a builder, like a programmer, or even a front-end developer, I don't know how you would survive without something like Envato Elements, unless if you've got your own front-end development team. But even if you do got your own front-end development team, they're never going to have the time to build the quality of templates that you get on Envato Elements. The templates here are built by professionals. They are already responsive. They've already been built with Bootstrap 5 or whatever. They are already ready to be used. They're like ready to go. It's like an empty shell that's just waiting for you to fill it with code and do something with it, right? So because I'm not a front-end developer, and I'm not going to hire a front-end development team to, I'm very comfortable with templates from Envato Elements, right? And they're not paying me to do this. And the templates and the links I give you, I'm not getting paid any sort of what you call, referral fees or anything like that. I'm just saying this because it's something I personally use and I believe in myself. Okay. Then the next thing that I want to that we're going to be doing is we're going to combine. So we're going to combine OpenAI. We're going to combine it with a Django. All right, so if you go to our Django documentation site, which has got everything you need to know to get started building a Django, but I'll take you through the steps as well. And then you go to Envato Elements. Just make sure you got a membership. If you don't have one, we don't need the templates today. So what you can do is that you can, this whole week you can go and purchase your subscription so that you can continue and follow along with us when we continue next week. Right, and then you also need obviously an OpenAI sort of like access keys and all of that. So what I recommend is just go and pay for it. You can even do their free trial right now, and they don't charge you for like 2 months. You can get like $20, which is more than enough for you to to play around with OpenAI and decide if it's something that you want to pay for. Okay. And then the next thing that we're going to need, so we're going through all the prerequisites now. The next thing we're going to need is a virtual server. And I like working off DigitalOcean. And I will put a link in the description below, and that link is a referral link. So if you click on it, you will get, I think, $100 for free. So if you go to DigitalOcean right now by yourself and you go and you sign up, you start getting charged from day one. But it's very flexible pricing. DigitalOcean actually charges you per day. So if you like, you open an account right now, you have to provide your credit card when you open an account. But if you open an account now and you play around with DigitalOcean, and then by the end of the day you decide, okay, I don't want this anymore, and you close it, maybe you've only spent like 50 cents or 20 cents, you only get charged that 20 cents. They don't charge you for the whole month up front. And if you use it for like a week, and then you decide, okay, this is not for me, and you cancel it after a week, you know, that $5 droplet, you'll get prorated for a week. So maybe it's like $1, and that's what you get charged. So they have like a, you know, they charge you for what you use, literally. But if you use my link that I'll put in the description, you get $100 credit, which means the moment you use that link to create an account, you have already $100 preloaded into that account, which means you can play around with it. I mean, $100 with the kind of stuff I'm going to be showing you probably can get you going for like, I don't know, 6 months. But I think they only kept it up to 2 months, you know, so they allow you to use that $100 for 2 months max. And then after 2 months, they start charging you, which means you can like build anything for like that whole 2 months. And then after that, then you start paying the normal prices. So really, it's a risk-free you know, startup for, you know, for you to get started and then decide if this is what you want. And by the time you finish building it, because let's try and finish building it in 2 months, and you think I can make money out of this, then you can start paying for it, because obviously nothing can be free forever. Eventually, you know, there will be a cost involved. But I've tried a lot of virtual server providers. I've tried a lot of products out there. DigitalOcean is by far the most developer friendly. Okay, not necessarily the most developer friendly and the most affordable, you know, because you get your AWS, you get your other, you know, and trust me, DigitalOcean is the most affordable, is the most developer friendly, it's the one that you can do everything I'm showing you on without, you know, sweating a lot. So go over there. I'll link this in the description. Click that link, so by the time you're watching this video, it's there right now. Create an account, and then go, once you create an account, you know, build, you know, go and sort of like, what they call it, a droplet. Okay, so go get yourself a droplet. If you're not sure how to do it, I'm not gonna go through it in this video because it's gonna take too long. If you're not sure how to do it, I've got a video in my channel. If you go to my YouTube, let me just try and find it for you, so that you will know which video it is, and then you can follow it and then get your virtual server started. I think the video is called it's called virtual. Just search for virtual server inside of my videos, and there you go. Set up virtual server VPS cloud hosting beginner tutorial. It's about 18 minutes of a video where you can go through how to actually set up your virtual server. Okay, so it's a $5 server. It takes you through paying for it, and you know, creating a user profile, getting the SSH done, you know, getting the security. I think I also cover, I can't remember if I cover the, you know, the firewalls and all of those things, just everything you need to get started with the server. So by now, I'm you know, when you follow along, you should have a working server, because we are going to be developing everything on the virtual server. The reason why we do it on the virtual server as opposed to your personal computer is I'm building it with the full intention to deploy it. Okay, many people, there are two ways to build a website. The first one is to try and build it on your own personal computer, and then when you finish building it, then try to deploy it. And that process, by the time you try to deploy it, then you're going to learn, you know, some of the you know, packages are not compatible. Some of the things that worked on Windows or your own personal computers don't work on Linux. You know, you're gonna have issues, and then you're gonna spend time trying to now integrate and get it into the environment it needs to work in. Unless if you're working with Docker, okay, which I'm not working with Docker. And that's the reason why Docker is so popular, because of the variable different environments that are out there. And I could have a perfectly working you know, model and system in my personal computer, but when I try to move it somewhere else, it breaks completely because it's a different environment. So when I develop, I like to develop it in the environment that I'm going to deploy it in. All right. The alternative to that is to develop it inside of a Docker environment, which then you can take the entire environment with you, right? And then it can deploy anyway, because, you know, a Docker is like it builds a whole environment around your application. But because we're not going to be doing Docker, this is a very simple thing. We're just going to do it in the environment that we're going to deploy it in. So that's one of the reasons why I do it. The second reason is I built so many websites, I wouldn't have space in my personal computer to put everything in there. All right. So 90% of my work is sitting in virtual servers across the world, right? Not on my personal computer. Now, and that's good practice, by the way. Okay. You don't want to, because if I had to like install Python, install Node, install all the things I need to install in my personal computer to get half of my websites running on my personal computer, you know, I wouldn't even have space for anything else, right? Because everything takes so much space. So I like to run my code in virtual servers where I can install all these things in those servers and they're not taking up space in my personal computer. Then I can actually use my personal computer for normal things like watching Netflix and what normal people do on personal computers, right? So with that said and done, I know that's a long introduction. Let's get started. So I already have a virtual server that I'm going to be working with. So I'm just going to SSH into the server, and you just SSH with your username into the server. It's going to ask, because I'm using now an SSH key in this case. You would have learned how to do it if you watched that previous video. I'm just going to log into my SSH keys, and then I'm in my personal computer now. Then I'm going to go into, because I do everything inside of this folder called development. So this is where I'm going to create my working folder. Okay, so the way I do it is I'm going to decide what I want to call this thing, right? So I'm going to call it Karabo, same name I called the previous one, but this one I will definitely launch on the Karabo you know, website, right? So let's call it Karabo. So let's create a directory. mkdir creates a directory, and we're gonna call this directory Karabo, right? And then we're gonna immediately cd into that directory, right? And then now I'm inside of this directory. There's nothing in here, it's blank, it's empty. What I normally do, because as much as I'm running the code of the virtual server, it is very difficult to actually write the code in the virtual server, because I need like a code editor and all of those things. So I've got this system where I write the code in my personal computer inside of, you know, a code editor, and I work with Git to constantly push the code to the server so that I can run it in the server, even though I write it in my personal computer. So I can write the code here, but I don't run it here. So I don't have to install the environment and Python in my personal computer. I don't even have Python installed, except for the Python that comes standard with a Mac. I don't even have Python installed in my personal computer, Python 3. But so I write it in here and then I push it over there. So for me to be able to do that, I need to build a repo, all right, and then a couple of other things. But the sort of the steps to follow to build a repo are there inside of my let me see, inside of my documentation. So I think it's under a cheat sheet, all right. So under a cheat sheet, there's Git Pull and there's Git Push, all right. So you need both Git Pull and Git Push. I'm gonna use Git Pull because I'm gonna build where is it? I'm gonna create the Django project inside of the virtual server. Then I'm gonna have to pull it to my personal computer, and then I can write in those folders inside of my personal computer. Then I'm gonna have to push it into the server to run it, and then from then onwards, I'm just gonna be pushing. Okay, so I'll do a pull initially, and then after that, it will just be pushing. So inside of this Karabo, I'm gonna build my virtual environment on this level. Okay. And I'm gonna, before I do that, I'm gonna build my virtual environment in here. So I'm going to say, and by now I've already got virtual env installed, by the way. Okay, so you need to go through the process of doing all of that and setting up your virtual server in the other video that I've done. So I'm not gonna go through that. So I'm gonna call my virtual environment Karabo env, and I'm gonna build it on this level. And the virtual environment is just really a folder, so it will go through this, and if you list now, you'll see there's now a virtual environment called Karabo env. All right, and I'm just going to like I'm gonna open it. So I'm gonna say source environment being activate. All right, so my virtual environment is running. All right, so let's clear this, and then once that virtual environment is running, I'm gonna now install Django and the things that I need to start building my Django project. So for that, I am going to go into Django there at the top, and then so all of this I've already done, by the way, because this virtual environment, I've used it before. So when you come, if you've got a brand new virtual environment, you need to install Python 3 pip and PostgreSQL and all of those things the first time. So if you get a brand new virtual environment, go through these steps to do it. Okay, and like I said, I've got most of this covered in my YouTube channel video, and if you don't find it in this video, there's another video as well. When I did my last when I did this tutorial series, if you go into let's see, let me just go find my channel. If you look for my channel there, and you go to my channel, and you go to the playlists, and you go to this last playlist, I think the very first video on this playlist, step 1, this one. All right, I think on this no, this is part 10. All right, so this is part 1. On this first video, I think I show you I take you through the process of getting a Django server. I take you through the process of getting a virtual server, installing Django, doing everything the first time. So if that other video doesn't help you, also have a look at this one, because this one also goes through getting started, which I'm not going to cover the majority of that now, because it will take me another 2 hours to do it. So by now I'm assuming sorry, that you have done all of these. You have installed your PostgreSQL and everything, but before we can get a Django project running, we need an actual database specific for that Django project. Okay, so I'm going to these steps over here are to set up your PostgreSQL database, so that you have a working database that's going to integrate into your Django application. Because the alternative is to use a I think, what is it, like the small SQL, the development database. I don't like that development database, because you're gonna still have to change it anyway by the time you get to to production. So you might as well just do the production one the first time, and it's not really complicated to do. It's just a few lines of code to get it done. All right, so I'm going to do that instead. But before you do this, you need to make sure you've run this code, because part of this code, this code installs these things, and one of the things it installs, you can see there, is this PostgreSQL and this PostgreSQL contrib. So all of these you need to get your PostgreSQL database going. So now you should have it going, and then I'm gonna. So this first command opens up or logs you into the PostgreSQL, right? So I'm gonna run this one first. Let's pull this closer there. So it doesn't matter where you run it from. Okay, you can run it from anywhere. So what this one does, it logs you into the SQL database, and it's going to ask you for your password. This is your sudo password for the account that you're logged in with right now into the server. So now you'll see the prompt is different. You see this prompt is different from the prompt that we had before. You are basically now running these commands inside of PostgreSQL, right? So what you're doing is, the first thing is, you're going to create a new database. Every time you run a new Django project, you need a whole new Django database, right? So we're going to create a new Django database, and it's going to be called, in this case, it's called Scolo, but you don't have to call it Scolo. Ideally, what's useful is to call it whatever your project name is, so that you'll remember which database is which, because sometimes over time, this virtual environment, I've used it before for another project, and you can run multiple Django applications on one virtual server, as long as they are not very busy, and it's not a lot of people that are on the website, and it doesn't have a lot of like memory processing. Even the $5 virtual server that you get from DigitalOcean. I've run like 5 different Django applications on it, especially development applications. And then only when I'm ready to take it to production, then I move it into like its own separate server with its own memory, so that, you know, I don't have issues. But when I'm developing, I can run even up to 10 different apps in the same server. So for now, I would need to differentiate which project is which. So instead of calling it Scholar, I'm going to call it Karabo. Okay, so I'm going to say create a database that is called Karabo. All right, and it created the database. And then what it does now here is you create a new user, and this user we are calling Scholar user, but you don't have to call it Scholar user. You can call it whatever the username that makes sense to you for that project, and then you enter a password for that user. Okay, so over here I'm going to say create a user called Karabo user. Okay, I'm just gonna call it that. And then the password, let's just leave it as password. I'll change it later. Yeah, I'll change it later. It doesn't matter what it is. If I'm going to be showing it on the screen, I might as well, you know, I'll use a different database in production. I'll use a standalone database when because I'm planning to actually launch this website, so I shouldn't be showing my my passwords right now, but it's fine. I will upgrade the database later into a standalone database, because one of the things DigitalOcean has as well is it also provides like a standalone, like database, like PostreSQL, where it's just built to be a database on a database optimized server, and it works much better. So that's probably what I will use in production anyway. So I can show my password here, it's not a problem. Then alter the role encoding to UTF-8. So the role, remember, everywhere there's Scholar, you must change it, because you have decided to call your user Karabo user, right? Unless if you decided to call them Scholar user, then you could just continue like that. And then after you've altered the role, you must run this one as well, default transaction to read committed. So let's add that as well. Let's change this as well to Karabo user. Right, and then set your time zone. Okay, now you want to set your time zone to whatever time zone that you're in right now. Okay, so I'm gonna set mine to Africa Johannesburg. I'm trying to think whether I should set it to UTC instead, but I'm gonna set mine to South Africa, to where I am right now. Set the time zone to Africa Johannesburg. You can use whatever your time zone, wherever your location is, you can change that time zone to that one. All right, then and by default, if you're not sure, just replace this with the UTC, big letters UTC, because that's standard. It's a standard sort of time zone in Django. Especially if you're going to be time zone aware, it will convert all the times anyway in the database to UTC and manage it that way. Then grant all privileges on the database to the user. Okay, so grant all privileges on database Scholar. So this database is the database you created at the top, that's called Karabo. So grant all access, all Karabo, grant all privileges on Karabo database to Karabo user, right? Cool, so it's all granted, and then you can log out. So this last command just logs you out. Okay, now we are back where we started. So our database is good and running. We can then now put it inside of our Django our Django application without issues. And we just used the user Karabo user in the password. So we'll remember what that is. All right, so now here you would be installing a virtual environment. We've already done that. Okay, and then we've made our directory anyway. We've already created our virtual environment. We've already activated that environment. So this is the command when we're activating the environment. So now we need to install these packages. Okay, Django, obviously, it's obvious you need to install Django, because you're gonna be working with Django. This one, Psycop G2, is a package that helps you communicate with the database. So you need to install that as well. And then the last one is, which I like to install at this stage so that I don't forget to install it, is what is that package called? It'll come to me now. So you can actually install more than one package at a time. You just sort of put the first one in space and do the next. So you don't have to have this as two separate commands. You could just do that. And then the third package I want to install is, it's not here, but it's a package you use when you are loading and when you're deploying your app. So if I go to deploy, it will be here, GUnicorn, all right, GUnicorn. So I like to install GUnicorn at this point because you're gonna need it for the production running of the app. You're not gonna use it now, but normally I forget to install it if I don't install it now. And I must actually probably update my notes as well to to sort of include that GUnicorn as well. Yeah, so I can then run this and then it will install. And by the way, before you do this, make sure your virtual environment is on, because at this stage it's installing it inside of the virtual environment. If you do not have a virtual environment on, it will be installing it in the entire computer or the whole server, which you don't want. That's the whole point why you create virtual environments. Virtual environments are like little imagine you got a fish that just likes to live in the water, and then you build it a fish tank. So that fish tank is the environment for that fish. That fish can live comfortably in that fish tank. You could carry that fish tank into a building, into a car, anywhere. You could take it on a mountain, you could take it up anywhere you want. That fish is always inside of that fish tank and it's always safe. Okay, if you take the fish off the fish tank, it's gonna die, unless if you take it into the ocean, then that's another environment. So these virtual environments are like little pockets where we are installing and we are running our code and our application, and we can take this now virtual environment anyway, and the application will always be okay. This is why I like to always run the application where I'm going to deploy it, unless if I'm running it inside of a Docker or whatever, right? So okay, so everything is done here. I'm talking a lot, but we are good to go. So you can continue following the instructions here. We're gonna start a project, okay? We're gonna start a project. So this one starts a project, and the project that we start, we're gonna call it Garabo. We're just gonna call it Garabo, right? And then if you now list, suddenly there's something in here called Garabo. It wasn't there before. You can go in there, and if you list in here, you can see you've got your manage.py and other things happening there as well. All right, so your Django project is sort of coming right, and you'll see this is the structure. You've got, this is the other Garabo app. If you like list in there, you cd into Garabo in there, you will see these are all the folders. If you do it like this, you'll see it better. The ini.py settings, URLs, WSGI, these are these ones here. And then you got the manage.py file, which is like the main file in the root of the project, where you run your where you run everything from. All right, now once you've done that, you're gonna cd into the directory, and then you're gonna edit all of those things and okay. But before we do all of this, all right, because you need to then go in there and create your Django application. Before we do all of this, there's a couple of setup steps that we need to do, because like I said, remember I said I need to pull this project from because now it's sitting on the virtual server. I need to pull it from the virtual server into my personal computer so that I can edit it from there. And then there's a couple of things that I need to do that just helps the project run better. Okay, so I'm gonna do that in a bit. Anything else? I think we need to create an application, because I don't want to build my files inside of the main Django directory where my project is. So what is really ideal with Django is that you can build multiple apps which you will segment and build separately. So the app that I want to build, I will call website. I think I will call it website. So in order to build an app inside of Django, just do python manage.py and use the command start app. Okay, so the previous command that we used to build the whole project was where was it? It's over here. it was start project. So now we do start app, and for start app, the app that we want to build is called website. Okay, so let's do that. And then if you click now, you'll see there's a whole new folder called website. And if you actually cd into website and list what's in here, list -L, you will see a lot of other things, a whole lot of things in here. You know, that your models, your PY, you know, your admin file, your apps, you know, it's got the whole sort of app structure for Django. And there's more files we'll add in here, like the URLs and all sorts of other things. And then I'm going to cd out of here. And then what I want to do now is also to create a folder, mkdir, that's called templates, because I'm going to put all my templates in here. So instead of templates, cd templates, there'll be nothing in there. And inside of the templates, normally, you know, the standard folder that I include in here are you know, my layout. Okay, so I'm gonna say mkdir, I'm gonna create a directory called layout, and then definitely the templates for websites, website, yeah, that's it. Then I'm gonna cd out of there. There's a couple of steps to get your app ready, but I think that's enough. The rest I need to change manually, because I need to go in there and change, you know, the folder in here, and change all of these and add make all of these changes before I can run collect static and all of that. Okay, so at this point I want to actually now pull these folders into my personal computer so I can make the edits from there. So I'm just going to make some space and put it in here, and then I'm going to go in there. This is where I'm going to, you see, this is currently empty. If you ls, there is nothing in here. Okay, so this is where I'm going to build my project. Okay, so, and I've got the instructions nicely in here under the cheat sheet. Remember I told you there is git pull and git push. Git pull is if I want, the instructions in here is what to do when you want to pull information from a different repository to where you are right now. And git push is when you're going to be pushing it to that repository. So now I want to pull all of these files from here into my personal computer, because I want to edit them from here. Then later on I will push them into the computer again. So for that, I need to do git init inside of the VPS, or where I'm pulling from. Okay, so let's copy that. So git init inside here. And then copy this line of code. All right, copy it somewhere important. You're gonna need it later. Where can I copy it? I don't have a note. Just where can I copy this? Do I have an online note or something? I can you know, paste this in here. That's fine. Close. All right, so let me paste that in there. Good. Then once I've done that, git add and git commit initial commit. All right, so you say git add everything in here, because you just created a repository, and then git commit -m, and then you're gonna call this your initial commit. Okay, so I need to do a config. All right, so let's git config my global. My user email is I'm gonna change this to admin@dirtydigital, right? And then I'm gonna put in my name as well, git config, my initial configuration there. I'm gonna change it to Zatosh. Cool, so I should be able to then run that initial commit. All right, so it ran the commit without issues. And then inside of your personal computer as well, you want to do a git init. All right, so inside here, this is a different tab, this is a different tab. So this is where I want to run this. This is in my personal computer. This is where I'm SSHing into the virtual server. All right, so in here I want to do git init as well, and it initializes an empty git repository. and then add the remote repo. So this remote git add upstream, let me just copy that as it is, go into my notepad and paste that in there. You will see at the end here git, this home username git, this is the location of the git repository. Its home, my username is Zatosh development wara. And then this one is the name of the virtual server that I'm sitting at, and my username there. So I need to change this to be my current username, which is Zatosh, and then this needs to be the IP address of the virtual server because I'm going to be pulling from. Okay, so I think I have it in here. I can see it at the top there. Let me just write it down. It's 146.190.17197. Okay, cool. So so I need to then change this IP address to be that. It's 146.190.17.197. all right, and then I can just copy this whole thing and then paste it at the end there because it includes everything else, home and the direct location of the git repo that I need to be pulling from. Okay, and this upstream is what we're gonna call that, head, or that version of the git, and you can just then copy this whole thing and then paste it in there. So we're gonna add an upstream repo on this username and this IP address, and this is the location of where that repo is inside of that virtual server. Okay, and then you won't see anything, it will just like it's added that upstream. So once you've done that, what you need to do next is now you're gonna pull. This is where you pull the upstream master. So let's pull it. It's gonna say okay, it's fine. I need to put in my password because my virtual server is SSH protected. If it was not SSH protected, it would ask for like a username and password. Otherwise, this is my password to my SSH keys, by the way. So let me put that in, and then it's gonna go and pull. All right, that was quite quick. So let's list here, and you'll see now everything is there. Garabo manager.py and the website is there. So if we now atom dot to open this folder location inside of the atom code editor, you will see all the things that we have running here. All right, so you'll see this is the manage.py file. This is all the files we created in this virtual server. So now we're pulling them into the personal computer so we can open them with Atom, so we can make edits and changes to this file. And then once we've done that, we're gonna push the changes back to the virtual server and run it from there, because there's a couple of things we need to do. There's a couple of changes in the settings.py. I think the most important one here is the most important change here that I must not forget is the installed application. All right, so in here I'm just gonna add a note that says additional applications, and then we created that app that we called website. All right, obviously we're gonna change the secret key. I'm gonna change it now, but I'm gonna change it again before I load this website, right? Because obviously nobody should know what the secret key is. Okay, allowed hosts. This allowed hosts are your your virtual, where you're going to be running your machine, your computer later on. So for now, I'll just use that IP, that 146. I think you can have it. You can put in, it's 146.190, but you put in whatever your virtual server is at that point. All right. You put in your IP address, not the one that I'm using. I think you can also put in localhost. Never ever do this, okay? This is like the easiest thing to do, but it's very unsafe, okay? You can put in localhost, and I think that's okay. All right, and then middleware, we're not going to change that. Templates, we're not going to change that. Databases, so this is the SQLite database that comes standard with Django, and we don't want the SQLite database. So I'm going to go back to my Django getting started and copy. So these are the changes here that you need to make there, right? So over the databases, you need to just replace this whole databases with that. And now we're going to be using that scop2 that we downloaded, that package to talk to the database. And I think we called our database, we didn't call it Skolo, we called it Karabo, if you remember. And we called it, the user that we created was Karabo user, and the password was just password. It will be on the local host, and the port is standard, so we don't have to worry about that because it's on the local host. And so this is the password. I remember I didn't change the password, I just used the word password for password. So, but obviously in production I'm gonna have to like change that. And then at the bottom of the file, just do this. So this here where it says static URL, static root, join that, that's okay. And then we're gonna make migration. So when we run this, we're gonna run it back in the virtual server. So we're gonna have to push it back to the virtual server to run it, okay? But there's still a bit more that we need to do, all right? So these are like recommended packages to install that you're always gonna need in any Django application, all right? So it's good to just install it right at the beginning, all right? So here is my virtual server. Here is my environment on. Let's just see which ones of these we want, okay? Requests. Okay, let's leave requests for now. Pillow. You're always gonna need pillow the moment you have an image field, and we always have images in every application. So I'm just gonna install pillow. Django resized. Maybe. Oh no, I don't need to copy the whole pip install, just that part there, because you can install multiple apps, you know, multiple packages. Just put it. Crispy forms, definitely you're always going to need crispy forms. And TinyMC, HTML to text, NumPy, I don't think I'll need those. So for now I'll have pillow, resize, and crispy forms. All right, so while it's installing that, channels, no, and Redis, not today. So there's some other things, there's more information in here, right, that I need to just you know, take you through. Django settings, okay, there's more inside of the Django settings that I don't include in there, right? The message tags, I always use the message tags because especially to, you know, to change, I mean, especially if you're working with Bootstrap. So when you're working with Bootstrap, normally when you send messages through the application, you know, you can just use the messages package, and you need to install that. Okay, no, you don't install that, it's pre-installed. But within the messages functionality, you just want to sort of like map the type of message that Django gives you to, for example, the type of class inside of your you know, your Django, you know, of your, you know, Bootstrap. For example, if you're gonna get like a you know, a warning message. Okay, warning message and warning is the same, but a success message is the same. An error message is danger, right? Remember when you're working with Bootstrap and you have like and you want a red warning, you would say alert danger, right? But the message tag from Django is not a message danger, it's actually error. So it's mapping that to danger. I think other than that, and then yeah, so let's just copy that as it is. You'll see later on why you need to do this. For now, if you're confused and you're not, you know, you don't know why it's there, just install it anyway, right? And I'm gonna need to import messages at the top here, but I can't remember how to do it, so I'm going to copy and paste it from one of my previous files. I must just remember not to forget it, right? And then inside of the templates, because I'm going to be working with a completely different template folder, there's a couple of changes, because I have, you see, I've got my templates folder. Where is it? I've got Karabo website. I should have a templates folder in here, ls. Yeah, it's there. Okay, because it's empty, you know, a Git didn't copy anything, but it's fine. I can redo it on this side. So over here inside of Karabo, I would have a templates folder and so forth. So I can actually even put it in here. New folder, templates, like that. All right. So to do that, you need to you know, just where is it? the use OS path join base directory templates, what I want. Okay, so here under DIRs, here where it says DIRs, just replace this with that. Okay, and then you need to make sure that you have, so inside of your base directory, you're going to have a folder called templates, which is this folder here called templates. And we need to know what is the base dir. Okay, so it's going to ask me for the base dir. Do I have a base dir at the top? There it is. It's the location, the base directory, and it is defined at the top. So I need to import OS in here as well, because we're using OS there. All right, and app directories, that's fine. Leave it, you can leave it like that. And then libraries, and these are your template tags. I don't have template tags yet for now, so I'm gonna leave that open. And then these are those template tags. Are they? Yeah, these are the template tags. We don't have them yet. Databases, I've already changed that. Time zone, yes, you might want to change the time zone inside of your Django application. So just currently it has, the default is UTC. So you might want to change this to even match the one, the one on the database as well. And this is a bit more involved. So let's copy that and paste, replace all of this, so that I also define my media root and my media URL. Your media root is going to be the location where you are going to create. If somebody uploads something into your application, it's going to be saved in there. Currently, I don't think we're going to be uploading anything right now, but maybe people are going to be uploading their logos, for example, for us to use. Maybe when they're building their landing page templates, they might want to upload a logo. So we don't know. And by default, I normally just do this so that I don't forget it, because later on, you might think you're not going to use it, and then you need to use it, but you forgot to do it. So in my settings, I try to go through all the steps to make sure that I do not forget anything. All right. So I'm just going to put that in here, and I'm going to call my media root uploads. Okay, that's fine. And then the SMTP configuration, this is also very important. Let's just copy that in here as it is. This is for your, if you're going to send emails through your Django application as well. Right now, you don't know if you're going to do it, but this is one of those things that you're going to forget to do it if you don't do it now. So I put it on anyway, and you just need to have like an SMTP server to use. All right. So I'm going to have to do that off camera, because I cannot share my SMTP email password. But I will pause this video and do it off camera, but I'll just show you exactly what you need to put in here in the meantime anyway. So you need your host. So this can be something like mail or whatever your domain is, or if it's Gmail, but Gmail never works with this anyway, right? And then you're going to need your email user and your password, and then the default from email, which is normally the same as the password. All right, so I'm going to enter this off camera for now, so that I can be able to send emails from here. And then this one, login redirect URL, and login URL is login and dashboard. This is one of those things as well that I know if I don't do it now, I'm going to forget. And then Django is going to do weird things when someone logs out. It's sending them to weird pages, or when someone login is required and they can't, then it sort of decides for itself where to send them. So you should just specify this. The login page is always, most of the time we call it login anyway if there's a login page, and the dashboard is always called dashboard. But I probably won't use this anyway, because I'm not going to have user profiles, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. The way I'm going to build this application is going to be slightly different. I'm not going to have login pages and user profiles and all of those things. I'm going to have people go through the application, enter your information. What do you want to do? We're going to save it in the database, yes, but we're going to do it in a different way. Enter what you need. I want to do a doctor's website. Oh, okay, give us this, give us that, give us that. The only thing we'll save in the database is if somebody like entered the information halfway and they wanted to come back, maybe we'll give them like a code or something that they can use a link. We're gonna try and avoid building a whole authentication process with this application, all right? And once they've finished building their thing, it's gonna be a matter of download it, pay for it. We're going to charge them right there and then. We're going to say, oh, your website is ready. Do you want to have a look at it? Oh, okay. They're going to go have a look at it and say, do you like it? If you like it, press button A to immediately download an HTML. Oh, okay. You need to pay whatever, how many dollars for it. Or press button B for us to host this for you, and then maybe then we'll create a dashboard for those people who want us to host it for them, so that they can log in and, like, you know, pay their bills and stuff like that, you know. So maybe let's keep the login and the dashboard page for now. And then Django resize, I think let's just keep this, because this also, when you forget it, Django resize does funny things. Okay, so just put the default, because you need to specify it mostly in the inside of your model, but most of the time you forget to do it, so the default then kicks in when you forget that. Okay, I'm not using tiny MCE, and I'm not, yeah, so I think I'm good to go. All right, so I'm gonna pause this here so that I can do the other things that I need to do in the background, specifically entering my email information and then remembering how to download this messages thing, and then I'll have it on, and then, you know, we can take it from there. Cool. So I found the, you know, what you need to add at the top of your settings.py file. So just add that line that says from Django.contrib import messages. This is just so that this messages here works, okay, because this messages is that messages you're importing there. Otherwise you're going to get an error saying messages not defined. So then from these messages inside of Django contrib, if there's a messages debug, it just, you know, uses info is info, success, warning is warning, error is danger. Right, then I've added my SMTP settings at the bottom. The other thing that we needed to do that I have forgotten, but I've remembered now, is the URL configurations. Okay, so this is also important. So inside of your URLs file, there is some very useful notes that Django preloads into the website template before you get started, and it shows you exactly what to do. There are 3 types of views inside of Django. You get your function views, your class views, and then your includes. Right, so what are these? Your function-based views is probably what I use the most. Okay, it's just to create a view. You can just, and it shows you an example of it. Okay, what is the path gonna be, and then inside of the views file, for example, what is the name of the view? Maybe it's called home, and then you can give it a name called home. Okay, so if you copied this here, for example, and you pasted it there, all right, what this would do is that if somebody went to the default of this website, you would need to have a function called views.home, but obviously you would have to have imported views at the top there. So this function would be a function inside of the views file, and then you can call it home, and then Django will render this path to this view. All right, but that's not what we're going to do, because this is the main URL of the entire application, so I don't want all the URLs to go in there. What is best practice actually is to include the URLs inside of the individual folders. So the file that we built, the website file that we built, it's not really a file, it's the app that we built called website. We're gonna include in there a new file called urls.py, and then what we do over here is just to include those URLs, okay, in here, and then we will build the URLs in there for all the files in here, and then we just need to include one line over there that includes them all inside of the main URLs. And there's also a code snippet showing you exactly how to do it, right? So path, if you want to, all your paths will start with blog inside of there, and then include blocks the URL. So I've decided to rename it, okay, and then I'm gonna call the main route into that path will be website, which means website will be appended at the beginning of each and every single path inside of that application, and then include website.urls. okay, so and this website.urls, you don't have to import it because it's inside of, it's like a string inside of it's a string. Django will just go and look for a package or an app that you've called website, and then it will look for a file called urls, which is so you must name this accordingly. And then what you need to import is the include. All right, and include, you can pretty much import it to the same place where you import the URL. So you can import path and include in there, okay, so that you can have include working. Then after that, I think we don't need these anymore. We can like delete them and create some space at the top. But if you want to keep it on for reminders for future, you can leave it on. It's really up to you. Then once we've done that, inside of this folder of the urls.py, if you go in there, you just need to you're gonna build your URL patterns here. It's blank now because I haven't built any view function in there. So import everything from views, from from this folder location, import a file called views. Okay, so this is that views that will be sitting in there, but currently there's nothing inside of the views, and so I've just left this in here so that I can, it will remind me how to write this in the future, because I've deleted it now from inside of the urls.py file. But you should be good to go. Okay, so we'll have the URLs inside of the individual applications instead, and in the main URLs files we just include each and every single app. So if you had like 10 different apps, you would have an include for each and every one of them there. All right, then you can save all of this. All right, so I'm gonna save all of this, I'm gonna close. All right, so we're gonna do something different. We're gonna go in here, all right, and we're gonna save, you know, we're gonna like commit this git. All right, so we're gonna say git add git commit updated the Django files. All right, git push origin master. Okay, so there's nothing, we can't push yet because we haven't created the push repo. Okay, so we need to go through that. Okay, cool. So where are we? Why are we so far away from where we need to be? So here's my documentation. Go back to the cheat sheet, and remember we did the git pull. Now we're going to go through the coding for the git push. All right, so skip everything and start here with the initializing a bare git repo. So inside of, let me actually put this closer, even closer. So we're gonna go back to our virtual server, all right, and then we're gonna need to create a bare git repo where we're gonna be pushing our changes to, and then you know, sort of sync that to this folder here, so that everything that, you know, we push from that side gets, you know, pushed here. So I'm gonna create the repo one step above, so I'm gonna create it in here. So in here, inside of where Karabo and the env is, I'm just going to you know, what is it, mkdir, make a directory called repo, and then once I've done that, I'm going to cd into that directory called repo. Then once I've cd in here, you'll see if I like list, there's nothing in there. So this is where you need to get started. Okay, so init git bare, initialize a bare git repo in here. So you initialize a git repo inside of the location where you want your repo to be. All right, so there's a reason why I'm doing it this way. You can do it any way you want, but there's a certain thing that will change, and just remember and follow exactly what I'm doing step by step if you want this to work, because then you're gonna get errors and you will have no idea where, you know, where they're coming from, and then you'll be like messaging me errors, and you know, so follow exactly what I'm doing step by step. Don't rethink and reorganize your folders differently, because otherwise some of the things don't work if the roots are not, you know, properly aligned. So after you initialize a get repo, you need to create a hooks post receive that will run. It's a command that's going to run every time you know, it receives, you know, a push, you know, a git push or something in there. All right, all of this you don't have to understand if you just do what I do. Okay, so what it's doing is that you're going to open that file. It's going to ask for a password. This is your sudo password because you're running a sudo command. Okay, and this is now a nano file. In this file, you're gonna enter the command. It's like it's an sh command that you're gonna enter in here that will be run every time it receives you know, data from whoever is pushing into the repo, so that it knows what to do with it. So this command is this one over there. All right, so I'm going to just copy this command, and then I'll explain to you what it is. In fact, let me copy it into my notepad first. All right. So at the beginning of the file, you must always have that. Do not remove it, or else this is not going to work. All of these do not change. The only thing you need to change here is the directory to where everything is saved. All right. So I should not have deleted that initial line that was there before, but it's fine. I'm going to exit out of here for now so that I can find my path. So you'll see this is from home. And then I'm inside of the development folder, Karabo repo. So this is where the repo is, all right? So over here is where the repo is. So this must be the path directly to the repo. You see this path, it must go directly from home to where the repo is. So I'm going to, from home, I know my username is Zatosh, right? And after my username, I must then have development Karabo, right? So this directory is the directory to my repo. If you're not sure and you think you want to make a mistake, and I would recommend you do this every time because you don't want to make a mistake with this file, is that you can cd out of here, you know, cd out of there, cd home, right? And then try to cd into that path that you've copied and see if it's going to take you to the repo. All right, no such file or directory. All right, so I think I need to copy the entire thing with the slash at the beginning. Oh no. Let me just say cd, paste it with a slash at the beginning. There you go. It took me to the repo. So that is correct. So this home Zatosh development Karabo repo, that is where the repo is. Then over here is the working directory. The working tree is the directory. So the information that's going to be pushed to the repo must be pushed to this working directory. All right, so this is like a connector. Think of it as a connector. It's going to be like a receiver. It's going to receive every time you push something, and then it's going to put it where it needs to be. So this folder is the folder where the information is. So I can actually like copy this exactly, right, and paste it in there. Right, so it's home Zatosh development Karabo. Right, and if you're not sure again, copy it, right, cd out of there, cd in there. Okay, I need that initial slash at the beginning of home, and then it should take you inside of the working directory where the manage.py file is. Okay, so it means this is good. Hey, so this should all work. I'm gonna actually just, because I need to be back inside of my repo again, so let's copy that. All right, cd in there, clear. So I'm back inside of the repo, and then I need to run this command inside of the repo. So this is the command I ran before that opens that file. All right, so open the hooks post receive, and then inside of the hooks post receive, paste this that you've updated. So paste all of this inside of the hook post receive, right? And then close the file, and then you're good to go. Now, very last important step, this step you must never forget to make the file executable. All right, because otherwise you've wasted a whole 10 minutes of your time. So make this file executable. It doesn't do any, you won't see like a feedback, but just don't forget to run the command. All right, then after you've done that, you need to now create the origin you know, root or whatever inside of your virtual server. So I'm going to copy this again, right, and I'll put it inside of my note, and because I need to get everything right. Okay, so git remote add origin. Your username here is Zatosh, right? The IP address that we're working with, if you guys remember what it is, whatever your IP address, enter that one. Okay, 197, and then this is the path to the repo. So I can actually just copy it from here and then enter it in there. So this is the command you need to run inside of your computer. So in here, you need to run this command to add this remote repo so you can push to it, right? So, and we're calling it origin, right? Remember, we already have the initial repo we added the first time was this one. When we did git pull, we added this one. This, and we called it upstream, and this was for inside of a git repo. This one was to pull, right? Now when we want to push, we are adding a different, we are calling it something different, all right, and we are calling it yeah, something different, and it's got a different location. Okay, so it's doing two things. So I'm gonna copy this here and just add this repo in there, and you shouldn't see anything, but basically the repo has been added. Now we can do that push origin master, the command that we couldn't run before, because now we've created the repo. We were trying to push a repo that we had not created, so we had to go and create it, and now we can push to it. All right, it's going to ask me for my password again, because this is a virtual server that needs that password. So I will just, no, this is the password to my SSH key. Okay, so it's a different password. So many passwords to remember, but okay, so it ran very quickly, but there's one way to check if this ran properly. So let's cd out of here and cd into Karabo. We made some changes since the last time. Okay, we made some changes inside of the settings.py file, so let's try and open that. Okay, so nano Karabo settings.py. Let's check if our changes are there. They are there. So this messages was not in the original whatever. The OS, we imported that, and this messages tags, definitely, you remember we just did it now, are changing it inside of our personal computer. So we were making all these changes in here. So if you remember, inside of here, inside of our settings, we made these changes. So now all of these changes have been pushed to the virtual server. So now what we can do is that we can now start running. Everything should be good to go. We can now run everything that we wanted to run in here. But let me check my Django notes that I haven't forgotten anything. So we've made now these changes. So the process of making these changes was a bit much. We had to pull and push, but we have made the changes. So let's run migrations. Okay, migrations is just getting your database set up and started. And provided your database is set up correctly and your passwords are correctly done, migration shouldn't give you an issue to run. Okay. All right. Okay, the static directory does not exist. That's okay. We can just make it. Okay, we can just make it, and we can just do the same thing here. New folder, just call it static. Right, that's all right. So we've created it. So let's run it again. No changes detected. Cool. And then let's migrate it, the database. Cool. So these are your initial migrations. So they ran without a hitch. And now we can create a super user. You need to run migrations before you create a super user, and you need to set up the database before you run migrations. That is why we're only creating the super user now. Okay, but you don't really need a super user, but I always love to do it because then I forget it, and I think we're gonna call this admin, and the email address will be the same. The password, all right, so we've done that, and then we can do collect static, but we don't have, actually we need to collect static for the admin, to work. Awesome. And then after that, we can allow the UFW, and then we can run our application for the first time to see if everything is running well. And provided there's no errors, this should run without a hitch. And I'm going to just call this, use a different port here. Cool. Okay, so let's have a look at our application. I'm gonna leave my notepad open. 146. There you go. 146. Right. URL config defined in Karabo.urls. So the home page generally should be a standard home page at this point, I don't know if this is because So if I look at my URLs, it's trying to find the, normally when you don't have, like when you create a brand new website. So let me actually just do this. Let me close this, because normally this should work without you define. I haven't defined any URLs. Okay, so it should just be able to display the normal standard, Django landing page when you get started. So maybe this is because of that. So let's try pushing the changes again. Otherwise we'll have to build a whole new page, all right? Because I think I've made enough changes that Django is getting confused. All right, but Django, when you get started, even though you haven't defined any routes, when you run it for the first time, it has a normal page that it displays. This one is the page I'm looking for. Yeah, so this page is just the normal landing page. Before you define any routes, you should be able to see this page tells you that your Django application is running properly. Obviously after this, then you need to go and define your routes, and I think because I had already now added that, it expected to see something in there. All right, so I'm actually thinking I'm not gonna have a path here. I'm gonna leave this blank, and then the paths inside of the website or the URLs will just be like, the normal paths. Like if I have a home page, it will just be in there. All right, so let's do that. Let's do a home page. So let's go into the website.urls, and inside of the URLs, let's define this, and let's call this let's just leave it blank as well, so that when you land, it just takes you there. And then the views will be views.home, and then this will be the name of the path will be home. All right, so inside of the views.py file, which is importing at the top there, these views is the views we're importing there. I can just go in there and create a new view called home, and the home takes in a request, right? And then it needs to return something. For now it can return I don't know, it needs to return, let's build an HTML for this to return. Yeah, let's build an HTML for this to return. So let's go and inside of our templates, there's nothing inside of our templates, so let's create a new folder that we call website. Then inside of this new folder, no, delete that. Not a file, but a folder. So create a new folder that we call website, and then inside of this new folder, we're gonna have a index.html, and then in here we're just gonna define an HTML page. We're just gonna call this, I don't know, home. Inside of the body, we're just gonna say h1, you have arrived home. All right, as simple as that. At the top there, we need to import render. Let's import redirect as well, so that I don't forget to import it. Okay, so over here, what we need to do is that we need to return. What we return is that we return a render, and what we render is the render takes in, first of all, the request. Then it takes in the location of the HTML that you want to render. So our HTML is sitting inside of a website folder, and it's called index.html. all right, so it's sitting inside of website. All right, and then the last thing that it takes in is just an object. This is the object that the context of that you're gonna push into the HTML. So for now, we're just gonna leave that blank, and I'm just gonna remove this as well. So we're gonna render that an index.html page. If somebody goes to the home, to the the page that has nothing, and the views.home, which is views.home, and our index.html is just a blank, it's just a blank page that says you have arrived home. Okay, so let's save that. Coolio. So this has restarted. So if we change this, it should now show that you have arrived home HTML page that we want to render. So now the real magic starts. Everything I've been doing up to so far is just to get everything ready so we can get started. So what I want to do now is maybe, I don't know if we want to do this now or we can leave this to next week so that we can continue with this tutorial here next week. Because now that I've got this, there's going to be 2 websites that we're building, and I've got 2 different templates. The first website is going to be my website, my landing page, where people land, and then immediately when they land, I want to show them, hey, enter your personal information, or not personal information, but what website you want to build. Or I'm a doctor, I want to build this doctor website, and then we collect all of that information, and then we put it inside of our UI builder, and then we output a landing page. Okay, and the landing page that we're going to output is one of these landing pages here, and we're going to output it with optimized AI content based on what the person has entered. All right, and then we have our own landing page which we're going to build. And there's quite a bit now, so I think maybe let's pause this video here because I think that's a lot. So we've definitely now done the foundation of at least getting started with a Django application, and so at least make sure that you are at this point to continue next week, and go and make sure you have a Envato Elements subscription. You're gonna need it. Otherwise, I don't know how you're gonna follow along, because I'm gonna be using these templates here directly and I can't give them to you. You have to create your own subscription and then purchase them. And then after that, make sure that you've got your OpenAI subscription as well. All right, because you're gonna need it to do some content generation for the website. So next we're gonna start playing around with that to see how we'd actually build the website that we want to build. And then after that, then we're gonna put it all together. And this has been a project that I've been excited about for quite a while. So I'm finally doing it, and I'm gonna load it up for real when I'm done with it this time. And yeah, so guys, hope you're excited about this project as I am. Please leave your comments in the description below. Let me know what you think specifically about this project, and if you're excited about it, if you're looking forward to it, or if you think, oh, I should have done something else. Also leave your comment in there. Let me know what other kind of interesting AI project you think we could be doing, because maybe I'll do it next. All right, so see you guys next week.